Every player in the NFL is a freak athlete. The 1% of the 1%. So when there's a guy who physically looks different from everybody around him, who's also smarter and more instinctual than everybody around him, well, then that's Kyle Hamilton. We haven't had a safety win Defensive Player of the Year in 15 NFL seasons, and I think Kyle Hamilton is making a case to break that streak. Not only is he the most versatile player in the NFL, and truly versatile, not like Isaiah Simmons or anybody else who can't play one position, so we say he could play them all. No, Kyle Hamilton can be a nickel corner, a single high safety, a blitzer, and be the best player on the field doing all of those things. I think he might be the most valuable defensive player in the league. And I mean it. Safety is a nuanced position in nature, and sometimes you need to see someone do a bad job to understand what it is to do a good job. And right here, you have identical responsibilities from Hamilton and Starks. The Browns align with 2 receivers on either side of the formation, and Hamilton, you can see, is going to be able to close on anything that bends in over the middle, whereas Starks is playing with 15 yards of cushion for some reason. And that is not to say that Starks isn't going to pan out or he's not playing well. It's more just to show that Hamilton has mastered what it is to play the safety position. Former Chiefs receiver J.J. Burden once told me that the sign of a great safety is how they trigger in the run game. And J.J. went against Steve Atwater. He went against Ronnie Lott. He went against Hall of Famers. And I want you to watch how Kyle Hamilton triggers in the screen game, which is essentially just an extension of the run game. The Browns are running a halfback slip screen. They're trying to sneak Dylan Sampson out here into the right flat. And the center does a nice job of releasing, except he's got to beat Kyle Hamilton to the point of attack. And look at Hamilton just flies downhill, puts a hit on Sampson. This is the kind of play that he makes all the time. And that's a drive killer. You look at a screen pass, you think it's a safe play, high success rate maybe. Not with Kyle Hamilton. So the Browns are immediately starting this drive from a disadvantaged position. And how about the form? I mean, that length, the way he turns the corner. We could spend a lot of time on this play if we wanted to, but it's so rare for a player of his size to be as fluid as he is, but he always hits the target. And he's not just a conservative tackler either. He's a tone-setting hitter. It's also just pattern recognition and understanding where his strengths are on defense that allow him to take a risk like this. You know, he knows that Nate Wiggins is down here manned up on this receiver, this X receiver down on the boundary. He knows he has 3 defenders sitting over top of their trips to the left. He knows that anything that's going to threaten him from his right is going to take time to develop, so he's able to see how this screen develops. He sees the offensive line slip out, and at that point, he can just trigger. Because Flacco's not going to have time to set his feet and throw anywhere else. It's just little subtleties like that, the mental game clicking with the physical, that make him such a deadly player. This is one of the few plays where the Ravens are not disguising their coverage. They come out in this 2-high shell and stick with it. Hamilton responsible for this deep half, and you can see the Browns have a solid cover 2 beater dialed up. They have a player running to the flat and then this corner route behind it. All of this is designed to put Nate Wiggins here, this flat defender, in conflict. You can see he's caught in no man's land a little bit. There might be room for Flacco to sneak this thing over top, but there is no way you're going to fit that thing in with Kyle Hamilton sitting over top. And some might call this hit a little bit dirty. I think it's just physical football. You run into Kyle Hamilton's zone, you're going to feel it. Here's a little 90-degree in route. You can see this passing lane is muddled, but also, I mean, if Flacco tries to throw this thing, he's going to have to fit it around Hamilton's outstretched arm that drapes to his knees, by the way. He wants no part of that. A lot of players, especially with the versatile name tag, never really find their home. They can do a lot of things okay, but nothing elite. Kyle is actually versatile. Right here, you can see him lined up one-on-one with Njoku, this number 3 receiver, and look at how effortlessly he runs with this route. I recognize it's not the most convincing route from Njoku, but it's so effortless from Hamilton. I'm matched up with Jerry Jeudy, one-on-one, one of the twitchiest slot receivers, at least in the AFC. And Hamilton, super fluid on the first route, but now you got to cover him for the second and possibly the third. And you can see it's just nothing to him. I mean, if you're a quarterback, look at this guy. 6'4", built like a power forward. You want no part of this. The fact that he can cover the way he does and make plays in the run game, it's almost unlike, it's unlike anything I've seen in my young lifetime as a football fan. I will say that. And perhaps I was too young to appreciate Eric Berry or Cam Chancellor or any of those guys. All respect to him, but wow. And then it's just a sixth sense. Like, the speed with which he triggers right here, recognizing this in-breaking route from Fannin, reading Flacco's eyes, closing and dislodging the football. This is the instinctual stuff that separates a good safety from the Troy Polomalus and the Ed Reeds of the world. Starts in a 2-high shell, walks down into this robber roll, reads Flacco's eyes, triggers on the football, punches as he hits Fannin, and dislodges it. Are you kidding me? You can't play football better than Kyle Hamilton just did right there. And for all of you stat nerds, even your advanced stats, this is why nearest defender and coverage statistics will flat out lie to you. This is logged as a pass touchdown allowed by Kyle Hamilton. Manned up on Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr. For a guy like Kyle Hamilton. Totally clamps the first move, caps on the second one. Marlon Humphrey drops this interception and tosses it essentially to Cedric Tillman. This is logged as a pass touchdown allowed by Kyle Hamilton. Locked up in main coverage on somebody else, and his teammate throws the football to a Cleveland Brown. And that's a touchdown allowed for Kyle Hamilton. Watch the film. Here, the Ravens are in a too-high coverage, and the Bills are going to run a nice concept to put a high-low stress on these middle field players. You could see Roquan gets caught up on this underneath curl. Josh Palmer breaks over the middle, and here comes Kyle Hamilton like a heat-seeking missile. Puts a shot on Palmer and breaks up the pass. And just read this thing out from Josh Allen. I mean, Josh is an aggressive quarterback. You're going to read kind of how the defense adjusts to Shakir. You can see Roquan triggers on that a little bit. Starks is not in position to make a play. You're probably not thinking that this backside safety is going to close all of that room. He hesitates a little bit, admittedly, but I mean, breaks on the football and almost an interception. We've already seen how Hamilton can fly down and lay the wood. Pause. But sometimes it's just about getting the guy on the ground. Right here, play action. They end up throwing back to James Cook, one of the shiftiest players in the league. And that's a pretty sure tackle of a very agile player. Again, here we are. You can see Shakir working his way over to Hamilton. And another situation where you have to guard not only the first route, but the second and the third. Against Josh Allen, you could be guarding for 10 seconds. You just don't know. And he's able to dislodge the football and put a shot on Shakir. Just look at the fluid hips, the ability to close in a hurry, and maybe a little bit handsy, maybe a little early, but I don't know. I think let him play. Yet another way that Hamilton impacts the game is as a blitzer. I can't imagine a worse sight for a quarterback than Kyle Hamilton bearing down on you. On this play, Flacco's going to try to hit his running back, Jerome Ford, in the flat, but you're going to see he has a condor essentially leaping in his face, so Flacco has to float that football higher than he would want, and Wiggins is able to deliver a knockout shot because of Hamilton's effect on the football game. While some will make the case that a safety isn't as impactful as other positions like defensive line or corner, I have this to say to you. Pass rushers can be double-teamed. Corners can be avoided. You game plan against those players. Kyle Hamilton game plans against you. He is a shapeshifter, a formless weapon. He appears in the most vulnerable part of your offense and destroys it. He is like the T-1000. He is not only the best defensive player on the Ravens, not only the best safety in the league, he is the best defensive player in football. Down to down, no one does more. And through 2 weeks, he's my defensive player of the year.